Good evening, everyone. My name is Tareem, and we are going to be doing a webinar on do's and don'ts of effective academic writing. Just as a background of me and my group mates for the organizers, we are level 3 semester 1 tourism management students, and this is part of our assignment to organize an online webinar. So we appreciate your participation. If you have any questions, just post them in the comment section and we will make sure to answer you. Today's live session, today's webinar will be on FYP and research methodology. Our speaker today is Dr. Selvakkumar. He graduated from University Putra, Malaysia in 2017. His PhD is in agribusiness with specialization in sustainable agriculture management. His special interest is research methodology and statistical analysis. His current area of research is e-business development, IoT in agriculture, and micro-entrepreneur development. So without further taking your time, I would ask Dr. Selva to take over. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comment section and we will make sure to answer them. Dr. Selva, over to you. Sir, you're still muted.
Okay. Hi, Tareem. Thank you very much for your introductions and a wonderful start. Thank you for all. Right. I know my screen is shared. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Fantastic. Hi. Good evening to all. I can't see you all, but I hope that you all can hear me very well, and you all can listen to my presentation and all that. Well, about myself already well explained by Tareem, and I think no need to have more deeper discussion. Well, I'm going to focus more for today's discussion. I will focus more on the thesis writing and a bit more on the methodology part, because I always believe that when your methodology is strong and your foundation is very strong, you're able to portray your research in very good manner. Well, for today's agenda, we will focus a few things. First one will be look at it quantitative and qualitative research. We will look at questionnaire design and some elements of research methodology. And last, I will give you all 23 tips for effective thesis writing. That 23 tips will be a very personal experience of mine and some of the established researchers as well. Well, let's start with the earlier of this today's what you call seminars and discussion topics. Well, we all have to know that whenever in a research you want to move something, you want to go where something, you have to plan. Otherwise, you will start somewhere and you have to start at one point. So that's why I would always advise all my students or whoever approach me for the research part, I would say that you have to plan very well. So you have to equip yourself with adequate knowledge and also some idea about what's your working area. Well, so for research part, and I know that today's we have two groups of students, two groups of party. First party where they are looking at the research proposal. They are working with the research proposal. Second team is where they are working with the thesis, where they already have the research proposal. Now they try to work with the thesis. They try to come out with the write-up and all that. Well, when we talk about research proposal, you should know that that is the concrete idea or a solid document give you some direction where you're going to be and how is your research going to be conducted. And in research proposal, we will have several elements, and which is such as a title, introduction, background of the study, problem statement, research question, objectives, literature review, methodology, expected result, and Gantt chart. Well, in thesis, it's I divided share into 5 chapters. Again, I would like to stress today for thesis outline, it's depend on the institution because it's differ institution to institutions or university to university. You have to look for your university's thesis guideline. That's fundamental. But generally, this is the main items where chapter 1 we will focus at introduction, chapter 2 is a literature review, chapter 3 is a research methodology, chapter 4 is result and discussion, chapter 5 will be conclusion and the recommendation. Well, there is another method we call an alternative method of thesis, where students those has been published several papers from their thesis, from their research. Usually, this for postgraduate, masters and PhD, they will go for it. If let's say they have published 4 or 5 paper where they fulfill most of the objective. If let's say they have a 5 objective, they fulfill about 3 objectives or 4 objective by the publication. They will use their published article as a part of the thesis, and they will be publish the thesis together with that. So they don't have much writings in their thesis. Instead of that, they will include their published article as a part of it, and they will complete it as a alternative thesis. It's still accepted in several universities around the globe. Well, let's look at it, the quantitative research and qualitative research. Students have to be students or researcher or postgraduate. You have to be really careful. You have to be really clear what is the difference between quantitative and the qualitative. Well, there is a significant difference. I would tell you a very simple difference, because there are a lot of scholars are look for it and they put it a lot of facts on it. But we're not going to go for that depth today. But we definitely going to argue the basic difference. For quantitative, which is you can do a statistical analysis and based on the data that you have. Well, for qualitative, we will go for some analysis based on the qualitative data. And the data that we collected for quantitative mostly will be close-ended. What does it mean close-ended? We will restrict the freedom of the answers. For example, you're asking how much you agreed with COVID-19 vaccination. From 1 is strongly disagree to 5 is strongly agree. So that is going to be close-ended, where you don't have much freedom to answer. You have to choose answer within 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 or even 1 to 10. If I ask you what is your opinion about vaccine for COVID-19, that's it. That is an open-ended question. For that question, you can give any kind of argument, any kind of answers. So that will be part under qualitative research. So you have to be distinguish which area are you working in. Are you working in quantitative? Are you working in qualitative? And the new era is coming up, and even people are start working with mixed method. We call a mixed method, which is they combine both qualitative and quantitative. This is mostly for postgraduate, they will do it. And some undergraduate, I do notice, I do receive some thesis with thesis of undergraduate. Undergraduate, they are doing with the mixed method. They are quite good as well. Well, so the most important, we should distinguish ourselves whether we're working in quantitative or qualitative or even mixed method. So we know that, okay, where we are. If quantitative, you have to design your question, design your structure of your research according to quantitative method. If you are working with qualitative, you should know what kind of a question you have to design, how you should argue, how should derive the discussion, and who are the scholars published and established research over the qualitative field. When we go forward, the main part of the research, even this is one of my important idea always I tell all my students, is you have to be clear with your title. And remember, title is everything for your studies. When I look at a title, I know that I'll understand the meaning abstract of it, and I know it should be clear, concise, and subject first. So you should, it is a direction is where I'm going to be. So the title will let me know. So be clear with your title, and make sure if your title is something not what we needed for 2019 or what we need for a past 2020. We should look for forward. This is what normally when we go for shooting classes, they will teach you. whenever you want to hit a target which is moving, the something is changing over the time, you should look forward, then only you can hit the target. Because if, let's say, I want to shoot the bird, if I shoot straight, by the time the bullet reach the bird, the bird will already fly away. It's what a common thing they'll say. If you want aim something, aim forward. The same goes here. Now people are focused a lot on the research on the COVID-19 and pandemic. Now people are moved forward where they are start looking for post-pandemic issues, post-pandemic strategies, and post-pandemic clinical trials. They are going one step forward. So this is what is always you have to look for it. And we are focusing at social science studies. We have to be really very clear about your problem statement. When you talk about problem statement, you should know that we have several component in your problem statement where you should be clear with the definition, characteristic, component. When we talk about problem statement, it's very clear. First of all, you should know what are the issues that having at the moment. You should be distinguished between issues and the problems. Well, the problem statement will be derived from the issues. You have to highlight what are the issues are going on. When we have the issues, we know why the issues are rise up, why it's rose up. So we go down, then we know actual the underpinning problems that cause the issues. Then that is the problem that we're going to address in our studies. Well, after we have a good problem statements and all that, we will look at your literature review. And literature review and literature reporting, that is two different things. I would advise all of you not purely when you read some articles, just report. For example, you say according to James 2020, so and so, and according to Salva 2021, so and so. So this is something like we keep on reporting rather than we argue. So normally, what we have to know is we have to argue the fact with several ideas, report what from previous scholars has been found, and you should come out your own argument. That is makes a very good and vivid literature review. Well, normally we have to go for funnel types of concept where normally in a bigger concept, what readers know is the bigger concept. We have to go down and make sure. Okay, we have to go down, make sure that the part that give us a new idea, new matters for the research area. So that is the where you can help. You are really helping the readers to fill up the gap of studies, and that's why we always say that for you want to conduct a research, you need to have a good reading on the past article, past research, and all that. And I would recommend go for what you call published article, newspaper, blogs, and also some bulletins from the government and recognized organization. Especially for sometimes we can have a very what you call uh, very some data, or we call it as hot from oven. Some data we get it from the government's bulletins, organization bulletins, and their statements as well. So that's why we encourage for researchers, reading is fundamental. You have to read more articles to get a better idea and different concepts. Okay, right now we already covered all our literature review, problem statement, and all that. Now we are going for something that's quite important when we're going to build our conceptual framework. Well, what is the difference between theoretical framework and conceptual framework? When we're doing social science related studies, studies on the social science, we will follow the framework on established framework, or for our research we have to build another framework. It can be established one, or you can build a new one. If you take it from somebody's that will be we call it as a sometimes we call it as a theoretical framework, where the theory has been established or published. Normally, the theory is published in several couple of years ago, and it has been tested in different sectors. It might be tested in textile industry, manufacturing industry, automobile industry, electrical industry, in probably in agriculture, sociology, political science, and all that. They will test the theory, the model in general several departments, several sectors, and they will be make it as a general theories. Okay, well, the conceptual framework is the framework where is particularly for our own research. So if let's say we are working on learning some like to look at the habit of quit or stop smoking, right? If I'd like to look for it, I have to build a framework where what are the factors that help to reduce the smoking habit among the smokers. And of course it can be chain smokers, it can be what do you call secondary smokers, and so on and so forth. Okay, I would like to give you a small idea about how a theoretical framework, and this is one of the well-established theory, which is theory of planned behavior by Fishman and Agent, and the theory has been tested in I think not one or two or three sectors. It tested in sociology, in agriculture, in construction industries, and in textile, and you name it. You name it. What it's a tested and well-established theoretical framework. And as what I said before, now I like to test this particular theory in my research. What is my research is I would like to look at it the quit smoking or stop smoking. So what I did is I adapted from there. I adapted from theory of planned behavior. Now I built the own conceptual framework. Okay. Well, I can see that there is one comment. Well, I would like to ask the audience if you have any comments, you have any questions, please do post it in comment section, and definitely I try to address as much as possible. And if you need, I highlight certain important elements for you. You do let me know in comment section, so I will notice the comment and I will highlight the particular part as well. Well, kindly let me to finish this part, then I will come back to your question. Yeah, right. So for conceptual framework, which is, remember, this is my theoretical framework, and from the theoretical framework, I model it and I adopt my conceptual framework. So this is purely from based purely for my studies. Okay, this is for general human behavior. This is particularly for my topic where quit smoking or stop smoking. And actually the model is not belong to me, it's some other researchers. Okay, all right. Well, so when we look at it, you can see that you have attitude towards quitting, subjective norm, perceived behavioral control. If you go here, you can have it the same things in the theoretical model as well. So we build it the model, and if you really look at it, I put it that adopted from Fishburne and Agent. What is the difference between adopt and adopt? This is something very important when you cite. Adoption and adoption is two different things. If let's say now I'm testing these quit smoking or uh, stop smoking in Malaysia. All right. Currently, I'm building this model, and I test this model. Come. All right. I'm testing this model in Malaysia. Someone from Oman, someone from Iran, someone from Bangladesh, someone from India, they want to do test the same things. So they would like to take exactly the same model of mine. They did not take from theoretical model, which is they're taking from my conceptual model to test in their studies. Yes, they do. They can do it that, but instead of adopt, they will put it adopt. Adopt means you take it a model exactly what it is, where adoption is you remodel it, you amend it, and you take other variable to add it in your framework. Well, there is one more questions that I like to address here. This is very common. When I search for it, I couldn't find any theory or any one single theory support for my studies. So is that possible to publish? Is that possible to work on it? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can go for it. What you have to do is you call it that as we call it as empirical model. That's called as an empirical model where sometimes we need several theories. For example, we need from theory of planned behavior, theory of reason action, theory of acceptance models, diffusion of innovation, or theory of other theories. You can merge it together and you can put it as a single framework, or you can take each element, each what you call component, each component, and you can build it as your own framework. That's going to be purely an empirical model, empirical framework, where it's not purely from one fundamental theory. You build it based on several journal articles. You read it for several journal articles, you combine it, and you build the framework. But do remember, whenever you do this, you have to test your questionnaire. You have to make sure your questionnaire fit before you go for, excuse me, before you go further analysis. Okay, I will do address that. I have here two questions to be answered. Okay, the first question is Imtizaz Sajid, right? Sir, my methodology is quantitative. I completed my pilot studies analysis. I started my main study. I find difficult to get 383 sample size respondents because of lockdown from last year. My research population is Malaysian parents keep okay registered under national immunization program. Online is not working. Hospital school not. Okay, it is from a researcher who's saying that they have issues to collect the full sample size. They do calculate the sample size as 383. 383. It is good sample size. Look like good sample size, but in TAS Sajid, you have a problems to collect the data for from population. Well, what I can ask you is now. You can ask, you can point enumerator, but definitely now it's going to be very difficult for you. Why? Because now is Malaysia going to start a full lockdown, so you can't do face to face, what do you call face to face interview. But what you can do is either you can go for online, but not by giving them a question. You do an online interview. That means a Google Meet or Zoom, anything like online platform. You do an interview in online platform, and you interview them and you fill up your questionnaire. You can do that. Get the contacts and consent from the universities, and make sure you have the. I believe you by now you should already have your what do you call ethical approval, and get support from particular association as well. If you get what do you call idea, there is some associations will be normally the parents will be engaged to. So if able to get support from the associations or some organization, they can help you to get a contact of the parents and all that. So that will be one of a strength for you. All right. I hope I answer your question. Next, I got from Sheikh Short Shorthuri. Yeah. Sorry, I pronounced your names wrongly. All right. Is that possible to publish paper from proposal? Yes, it is possible, but you need to have a very strong and good argument in your literature. You can publish as a review paper if you have a review paper or concept paper, if you have a very good literature reviews for your proposal. And don't expect that you publish directly. Definitely, you should build it. You should develop the paper very well with good arguments and very good what you call a discussion. You can able to publish. You have to write vividly so that you can put it in publication. Well, let's continue with the presentation. Well, the key for quantitative research to the success of the quantitative research lies on these three important factors. One is well-designed questionnaire. Second one is appropriate sampling. Third one is suitable analysis, appropriate analysis that fit for our objective. When we talk about questionnaire design, that's the first part. When you design questionnaire, make sure you have a very clear idea what you're trying to test, what you're going to test. Is your questionnaire able to give answers for your objective or not? And sometimes we have received questionnaire with what you call ambiguity. We have some several situations. I would like to check. I like to share with you some kind of question, what we call a double-barreled questions. But those I'm not sure what's a double barrel means. Normally we call this is a double barrel gun. This is a double barrel. That means one time you shoot, there is a two bullet is going up. One of the easiest example I'll give you like this. I love to eat durian and apple. Those I'm not sure what is durian in Malaysia. We call durian is fruits, kings of a fruit, and it's a thorny fruit, which is some said the smell is fantastic. Some say the smell is very stingy smell. Okay, all right. So this is the durian and this is the apple. By now, and I'll give you strongly disagree to strongly agree. So if I love both, I have no issues. If I don't like or dislike both fruits, it's no issue at all. The problem now is those are love only apple. Those are love only durian, or they either one. They only like either one. How are they going to answer? If they answer neutral, that means it's not reflecting what they really love apple. Or neutral means they really hate or they don't even like the smell of durian. So this question is not well designed. It's actually the error in the questions. And the next one, I would like to ask a simple question. Are you stop smoking? And are you stop smoking? And I give you answer as yes or no only. Yes or no. Right now, if I in the crowd ask yourself, are you going to answer yes or no? If I am a former smoker, okay, I'm a smoker, now I already stopped, I would say that yes, I stopped. If I continue smoking, I would say that no, I'm not stop I stopped smoking. If what about someone who did not smoke at all? I okay, no point. You put it that I don't smoke. Okay, now what are you going to answer? But this is the questionnaire that you designed and you distributed to your respondent for the answer. If they answer no, that means you say they admit previously they have been smoked. They have a history of smoking. So this is the obvious question where it's not a right question. So these are the very simple things. When you have these kind of questions, the quality of your questionnaire is dropped, the quality of your data is dropped, and definitely you're not going to have a very good result end of the day. Remember, I always wait. Okay, I always tell to my students that make sure that you don't have GIGO, which is called GIGO. GIGO stand for garbage in, garbage out. That means if you put it your what do you call wrong data, if your data is not quality, it's considered garbage. It's not useful at all. If you collect data, that means you're not collecting data. You just sit down in your house, you just key in. We call that as garbage because the data is not supporting. You get data from wrong population, it's still not useful. Like someone just now previously said that the parents, the kids, they have 0 to 8 years old. That means they need under 8 years old. But if they're looking for my parents, they get data from my parents. Is their result or the data is a quality data? No, because they get the data from wrong population. The method was wrong. So that is the very important. The next one is a quality in terms of survey research. What is the very important? You should have a valid data, valid, reliable, unbiased, and undiscriminate things as well. So to discuss this further, I'd like to stress how are you going to obtain the information and how are we going to make sure that we have very important is good design of questionnaire. First of all, make sure we are clear with our aims and what we call objective. Then what we're going to do is we have to have a concept and information to support the objective. You have the objectives and collect all the information and subject and what we call um, ideas that need to support the objective. Let's start everything and review the current literature, that existing literature, the other works has been done by other scholars. You should get all the infos and put it together and compose your questionnaire. You can draft your questionnaire. You have to make sure that you included all the elements that related or pretending to your topics. And make sure that you take into account what is the latest research has been conducted in your studies. Why I do notice somebody's sometimes students send their questionnaire, and in even in published questionnaire we check at it, the questionnaire has been designed, has been tested probably what, year 2000 or 2005. The same types or same level of studies has been conducted again in 2020 or 2018. You are repeating that something has been done in 2005, which is about 5 years or 15 years later. What is the point? If you want to see the comparison of the 2005 and 2018, it is fine if your objective is meant for it. But you want to do a better things, that's why it's always, I will ask students, review and make sure you are sensitive with the current publication. You have to go check what are the published article related to your topics. Okay. And last, very important, you should validate your questionnaire. How suppose I should validate my questionnaire? Well, so I would like to give you some idea. Remember, validation in questionnaire is to find the mistake. As what I told you just now, remember just now I show you I stop smoking and durian and apples examples. If I give you some things, this is some sort of uh, playing footballs. Okay, footballs I get out futsals. Okay, this is some types of game. This is a kind of game, but I'm not going to be comment the games. But let's assume that we are talking about real futsal games. Those are really in the futsal. They know what are the things are inappropriate here. I would some can point out here. You can see that they have a wrong types of shoe. A tire is not appropriate. Definitely this is they're playing different game, but I would say that if I compare with this team and these teams, we are very clearly know that okay, this team were well equipped, proper attire, proper what you call uniform and all that, but here is no. So when I check these kind of things, we are trying to do is we're trying to find out the mistakes, and we try to minimize the mistakes. All right, definitely this is not a mistake, because this is another kind of activities or sports activities or games that we conduct in Malaysia. Well, when you like to validate your questionnaire, remember you have these four things to be validated. But in the validation, we have three stages: pilot test, pre-test, pilot test, and the actual studies. Well, in the pre-test, validation is we mainly will be held at the pre-test. What are they? These are the four things we're going to test: face validation, content validation, criterion related validation, and concurrent validation. This is a four validation that will be a fact or will be taken into consideration when you like to validate. Okay, what is the face validation? I like to go very quickly on this. Face validation is very simple. When I give you a questionnaire, it makes common sense or not. Okay, when I ask parents about vaccination, I should not ask them, or I shouldn't ask them, are you aware your vaccine is about RNA or DNA, or which kind of element is contained, is when they inject you, do they kept it in negative 70 degrees and all that, because it might not relevant to them. So face validation is the questionnaire make sense or not? Oh, okay, now who is able to do the validation? So it can be industrial expert, lecturers, your potential respondents, and also sometimes you can be a common citizen or P2P, peer-to-peer. Your other friends also can do that. And second one is content validation. Content validation is where you check whether all the important aspects are covered for the particular sector. And criteria validation is where is the questionnaire is sufficient or enough to measure what we like to measure. And last is concurrent validation, is whether the questionnaire is the new questionnaire is consistent, is whether the questionnaire is consistent within the industry or the subject which has been established before this. Okay, so make sure we have this for validation. Well, when we talk about in the test, we have only these three parts. Remember, whenever we build research, we need to work with these three: pre-test, pilot test, and actual study. Pre-test, you build the questionnaire, Pretest is can be about 20 people, the most, or 10 people. Take the questionnaire, give it to the industry expert, give it to subject matter expert, give to your lecturer, give it to common people. Common people means those are going to answer your questionnaire. Give it to your peer friends, get their opinion. That time they will answer you. This is a redundant question. This is ambiguous. I couldn't answer this kind of question. This is very biased. This is subject to one particular race. This is something like I'm not clear. This is very high order language. We should know the ground of the background of our respondent. If I'm working with CEO, I cannot have established my questionnaire like a simple matters. I need to be really thinking about decision making issues. If I'm going for general workers or those have a low education level, I cannot have very bombastic words or long sentence which is unable to ask or obtain a real information from them. So this is the matters that I have to take into consideration. Well, once I have my what I call complete pretest, I will improve my questionnaire. All right, I'm done with my questionnaire improvement. What I will do is I'll move to my second stage, which is the pilot test. So what I'm going to do in my pilot test, in your pilot test, okay, in your pilot test, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the consistency of the questionnaire. What is the consistency of questionnaire? We will see how is the response from the respondents. And remember, pilot test you will conduct with potential respondent, with your actual respondents. Probably you can do it within a 30 to 50. It depends on what kind of analysis. If those are going to work with PLS or structure equation modeling, or when you want to work with the MOs and all that, you have to make sure that your pilot test you run with at least 150, because you have to confirm, you have to explore your factors before you go for the you build your structure equation modeling. So you have to complete your EFA, which known as exploratory factor analysis. Well, okay, now remember one more very important things I would like to share. When we have a questionnaire, the only like it scale I will get is strongly disagree to strongly agree. Okay, please do your homework, and we have a different what you call like a scale, different appropriate like a scale for different situation. If you want to ask about frequency, you should go for never to always. If you talk about quality, you want to talk about quality, you have to talk about very poor to excellent. If you want to talk about agreement, is yes, agreement you go for strongly disagree to agree, and awareness and all that. And for this, you can refer to the what I call the source I gave you. You have a full description from there, and you can look for appropriate Likert scale for your questionnaire and for question that the statements that you build it with regards to your area. Well, now we like to go for the pilot study again, right? As what I told you, pilot study is mainly to check your consistency of your answers and consistency of the questions. We call it as internal consistency. To measure that, we have to run the reliability analysis. You can run it in SPSS or in other software, where to have a good consistency, you should have Conrad alpha score, you should have more than zero point 0.6, according to Hare 2003. And some articles do suggest go for zero point 0.7 above, and it's differ from what you call it's differ from scholar to scholar. All right, I will recommend above zero point 0.6 is good. All right, if you have lower than that, please do take into your account, and please check again with your questionnaire. It might be you have a repetitive questionnaire, you might have a negative direction questionnaire, you might have a redundant questionnaire, you might have what you call sensitive, or you might have what you call double barrel questions and all that. So you must be very careful. Your items must be very clear, and do not write very long items. I do let you know, if you write all what you call long items, or your items very long, you're asking very details, they might answer you everything 55555 or 11111, which is we called as straight lining method, where the respondent is not reading the questions, they just pick up the questions. Well, In my case, I will detect this kind of what you call respondent. How I do is very simple. If I have a 20 questions, I will have uh, maybe 15 positive items, 5 negative items. How is it? Okay, I like to put like this. For example, I love to eat fruits. I love to take tropical fruits. And the third statement, I say that I will be minimize the consumption of fruits in my life. So which is totally contradict. If a respondent answered 5 for question item number 1 and 5 for item number 2, genuinely answer, he or she must answer 2 or 1, which is they have to be negative. Supposedly they have to disagree because they minimize the consumption, but they still answer 5. That means we know this respondent is not reading, is not taking to serious our questionnaire. So this helps you to eliminate which is the straight lining answering method in your questionnaire. Well, then we talk about validity and reliability. When always make sure that we would like to go hit the bull eye. This is what we call it. Okay, we need to have high reliability, high validity for your questionnaire. Then, whatever your prediction, your analysis, your result will be very solid and it will be very what they call new for the industry, and it's very useful for the academic as well. And you will get something significant result. So improve your validity and reliability. And definitely after you have a very good and strong questionnaire, and you will go and get your respondents. Okay, make sure you do a proper sample size calculation. You can use any method, I don't mind. You use method from Daniel, method from Israel 1996, Daniel 1999, or you're going to use some other method Uma Shankaran can, or you're going to calculate from air 2016, I don't mind. Okay, but make sure you use it with the right formula and right calculation. Normally they will go for some websites and all web page. They will say that according to that web page. All right, remember, in academic world, that web page is not recommended and it's not recognized, because that web page actually they have some formula to calculate. So you have to adopt the formula and show the calculation. Don't cite that. I cannot say that, okay, according to Google, the COVID-19 infection can be spread through the nasal and the mouth and all that. I have to say that according to Google will let me know from where the information come from. Google is just a platform. It's just the browser. So the same things. The web name of website doesn't mean giving you some credits. So you, of course, you can give the credit to the websites, maybe in citation, but not as the you say that according to this website, I am going to collect this much of sample. Okay, please avoid that. And definitely, we're going to collect your sample. You need to have a good sampling techniques. And how you're going to sampling is definitely is very simple term is how am I going to select my respondent. You have your population. From the population, how am I going to collect? Very simple. My population is I'm looking for research under university students in Klang Valley, or sorry, in Malaysia. Okay, it's regardless whether it's a local or international students in Malaysia. So how am I going to pick? So I have to be very, very clear with UOA, unit of analysis. Who is my unit of analysis? Is that students in Malaysia, or students from overseas, or international students only, or postgraduate? No, told them university students. So I must be very clear. Am I working with undergraduate, postgraduate, or both together? So my unit of analysis, I must be very clear. If I just say students from Malaysia, a 5 years old is a student now, 7 years old is a student now, is university student also considers as a university as a student. So you need to be very clear who you are talking about. So that's what we call UOA, unit of analysis. Now my unit of analysis is students from universities. Those are enrolled in undergraduate degree until PhD. Those are in a diploma. I'm not going to take into my account. So that's why clear. So now how am I going to select? So there have two methods. That is a probabilistic sampling method and non-probabilistic. Very simple to say that probabilistic sampling means If I have 100 people here, I got 100 people, I'm going to give each of them equal chance to be selected. Equal chance. What is person one having the chance, the same chances they're going to have for person two until the 100th person. That is what we call a probabilistic sampling. We have an equal chance for that. Non-probabilistic means they're not going to be have equal chance. If I have 100, those are sitting in front, they might have a higher chance because I'm going to easily pick up them. Those are sitting at 100th place, they might not have the equal chance. They have maybe very minimum chance to be selected as my respondent. So this is the difference. So we have different sampling techniques and all that. Please be please be clear. Okay, please be clear with your sampling method. I will give you a very simple idea how to do a proper sampling. We can go for a simple random idea. So let's say I have about now students of 100 students. I'm going to pick about 20 only. So what I can do is out of the 100 students, I can select only 20. So I can just list what you call, I can label each of them as a, well, what you can say that is numbers. Student one as one, student two as a two, the third student as a number three, and all that. So each students I going to label them as one, two, three, and I can put it the numbers in a random number selection. I can just select 10. Well, we can even do it that in Excel. I try to work with that, and I try to show you all, if possible. Just have a look on that. Okay, just bear with me. Mine is a little bit. Okay, assume that we already label the students. Okay, I labeled from okay, one until one, two, three. Okay, I label the students as until 100. We label them until 100. Okay, each student has been numbered as one numbered. Okay, we're going to select how am I going to select? We need about only 10 students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 10 students from them. So we can do it this random between, so 1 comma 100. Okay. So we're going to select 10 students. Well, these are the 10 students or lucky winners or lucky students who are going to be respondent for our sample. So going to be number 77, number 86, number 73, 78, 10, 18, 71, 74, 98, and 58. So this is a completely random. So this is a simple way we can say that, simple random sampling. And even we can do stratify randoms and all that. Okay, when that will be this is one of the methods that we like to establish for sampling techniques. So please be very clear which sampling method are you looking for it. Are you going for convenience sampling? Means are you going for non-probabilistic or probabilistic sampling? And definitely you have a pro and con on this part. So you have to be very clear, and please improve your sampling method so that you have a very good on the data collection. Okay. Well, this is the main part until your methodology, right? I would like to now go for the 23 tips for effective thesis writing. This is something like I'd like to really want to share with you all for today. Tips number one, I'll go very simple, your title. You must be clear and be sure as shooting with your title. And if you're not very sure, make sure you get all the understanding, all the discussion with your supervisors, with your committee, with your friends, to be clear with your title. If you want to change it in early stage. Do not go and change it at the middle of the studies or after second semester, after the end of the semesters and all that. When you get the title, try to collect as much as information, try to do as much as reading to get idea. Are you really ready to go, or are you really clear about it, or you have insufficient information or not? Always make sure, test yourself, right? Okay, Tips number two is make sure you formulate your objective in smart way. What is smart way? SMART. S must be smart. Okay, your objective must be very specific. M stand for measurable. Your objective must be measurable. A must be accurate. R must be realistic. T must be timely, must be achieved. What does it mean? Okay, I'll give you very simple. I want to test for my, even for my, let's say I want to test for my master studies or postgraduate PhD studies, the impact of COVID vaccine for babies until 10 years old. So that means if I establish my objective, I say that for infant, those are maybe a month years old or maybe a 3 years old baby, I inject the vaccine and I'm going to wait until 10 years old to see the impact. Do you think that that's a realistic or timely manner for a PhD student? Because I need to finish my work within 3 to 4 years. So it will be something is a loading, it's not timely manner. And another favorite objectives of undergraduate, they will say that they like to educate the public regarding the awareness. They like to create the awareness. They normally they have the objective like this. They have something like sounds like this, to create the awareness among public regarding COVID-19, or to create awareness among tourists regarding nature tourism. Now the question is, you are doing a final year project. You are a degree students. How could you can create awareness? You can create an awareness through your FYP. Yes, definitely. When you have your result, you can go and publish. You can give a speak and all that. You can go and publish your articles. You can speak up. You can go to social media to talk about your results and all that. Okay, if I do test, I like to do. Can I create awareness on protecting wild animals? How can I do awareness? Create awareness through my FYP. How can I achieve that? So this is something, it's not realistic, not relevant objective. Your objective, you must able to measure and you must achieve it within the time frame that you have it for your FYP. So please be very clear with your objective. And you should have, okay, I'm talking about quantitative method, yeah? If you having that, you must know how you're going to achieve it, which analysis you're going to be using. Well, the next and third objective, if you have the hypothesis, please be very clear. You can establish a traditional or the what you call classical hypothesis where you have H null, H alternative, or you can have a research hypothesis where you only have one hypothesis. If you have a classic one, you have two results. You have two options. Whether you can go for fail to reject, reject and fail to reject, reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Remember, we will not accept the null alternative hypothesis. Or okay, what we go for it is this what you call for research hypothesis. Normally we will say that there's similar things rejected and all that. Sometimes we go for supported, not supported, for what they call established on the research hypothesis. Research hypothesis is they only have one hypothesis, they don't have alternative one. Okay, if you have hypothesis, you establish hypothesis in your studies, you should know, you should test it so that you can prove whether your hypothesis is valid or invalid. Well, next we go for the fourth what you call tips. You should employ appropriate analysis that relevant to your objective. If my objective is to test the smoking habit between genders, or I want to test the impact between genders, I should I should have appropriate analysis. For that, I should know what other analysis is available for these kind of things. So you must be very clear before you proceed with your data collection. We always see students will collect the data, then only go and learn your objective. That means learn your analysis, how to do and all that. That will be sometimes make you difficult because you're not sure how to analyze, you're not sure whether you're collecting right data or not, whether your data is supporting for you or not, or otherwise you're not sure because you are not clear with your analysis. So you need in early stage to make sure you are clear what are the analysis. For objective number one, which analysis I'm going to use. For second objective, which analysis. If I'm using multiple linear regression, what is my independent data? What is my dependent data? How am I going to collect my independent data? How am I going to collect my dependent data? Can my data in categorical or must be in continuous? So you must be clear on this part. Well, tips number five, make sure you have a definable and arguable claim. You should have it that in your thesis. You cannot have a vague or subtle arguments in your thesis. Then, tips number six is don't list but argue. What does it mean? I can say that is majority will talk about, okay, whatever in the country's progress, three things is important: social, economics, and politics. Social, economic, politics is very important for the country's prosperity. Or they would say that is the list is, we just say that for sustainable agriculture or sustainable is economic, environment, and social is very important. Everybody know that. So what is the important is you should argue each content, each list, that each factors that you list up. Don't simply say that according to this researcher and so, they say that social, economic, politics are important. In economics, for demand, to confirm a demand, price, people's preference, taste, and finance, you have it. It's important to determine the demand of the market. This is everybody know. You have to know how the price can affect the market, how people's preference can change the market. You have to argue about it, how it's been changed. Okay, right. Tips number seven, be clear and specific as possible. Sometimes students proud to have long or they have a thickness in their thesis, and I would like to say that sometimes it's not very appropriate. It's not very good idea to have you to think that you have a very thick or a lot of pages in your thesis. It's considered good thesis. Just remember, I think those days we have about PhD thesis 17 pages with the Nobel Prize winners. Okay, please check. Okay, we do have what they call simple thesis with the impact, high impact. So be clear and specific as possible. So your argument must be to the T and very particular. Well, and tips number eight, justify the discussion. Don't report. This is what I like. My best advice for the chapter four, which is result. Okay, I say that I'll get mean for the age. Mean of my respondents' age is 49 years old. Mean of income is $2,000. So what? So what is the argument? So you say that the salaries for general workers after the pandemic was mean is 1,200, and the range was 900 to 1,800. So what is the justification? What is the discussion? What is the critics there? It has been before the pandemic. What was the range? Now what happened? What is the changes in salary? How much that impact the family? What other people, other scholars around the globe, around the world, they're talking about these issues. This is what you have to put it in your thesis. These are the issues that makes your thesis very concrete, and it look very what you call very solid and unique. Right. Tips number nine. I would like to say this one. A routine is a better friend than motivation. What does it mean? If those are doing the thesis, remember, you start doing your research. There is no compromise. Every day you have to do something, regardless whether you set 1 hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, up to you. But you have to do routine. I would like to share my personal experience. If I get during my PhD times, if I get very excited, what I do is I will work sometime morning 9 o'clock. I will go to the office to start writing my papers until midnight, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. If really calculated, I will go for 18 hours. 18, 20 hours. I have been written for 20 hours also. I'm sitting in the office writing for 20 hours, and I'm so proud I can do the things, and I will get off for 3 days. And fourth day I come back, I will start again, and again it's a delay, and it takes times, you get slow and all that. This is the things are going on. But That is very, very bad attitude. It's okay. Have a routine. Every day you have to do something regarding your thesis. Every day. It's whether 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 1 hour. Up to you. But make sure every day you are working with that. This is the best things that I can tell you. All right. It's okay. You sit down, you start writing, you have now no idea at all, you have nothing. It's okay. Just make a draft. Just do something. And just start with draft. Do not expect for a perfect or a fantastic write up at first glance. You can't get it. Even I don't disgrade or degrade you all. When you start, don't expect too much. It's okay. Make a rough draft. Just start writing. I'd like to share another example of mine. I'd like to publish, means I'd like to write a paper for a journal. It took about 5 hours to complete one paragraph. 5 hours. I read this and all that. I put it. I felt one paragraph. I spent for the whole night about 5 to 6 hours. I finish up. Then rest of it I cannot do it, and just completed about one paragraph, about 8 to 10 hours. The next day I brought it up that things to my supervisor committee. My supervisor look at it and she tell me, she just start marking this, you have to change this, what about this, what about this, and I take it out. That movement, my entire confidence, my spirit was broken down. Come on, you have to, you spend 10 hours, one whole day night with that, and you feel so proud, you come out so many ideas, facts and all that. But at the end of the day, your supervisors reveal that your fact, your write-up is not up to the standard. So what I like to say that is, don't be very tension. Don't try to give immediately the best quality. Start, because I'm spending in a shorter time. A shorter time means I'm trying to do a long. Means I try to do what? Take long hours to do a simple work for better quality and not consistent. That is what I learned from my own mistakes doing that my masters. I improve it for my PhD. So the best is start with the draft. Later you can amend it. Then they will say that 90-10. That means you always you have to have change about 90% of your draft. Once you have the draft, 90% of your draft, you must rewrite, rephrase it later, and you have to at least remove 10% of your draft. You will be later you, because draft is just your idea, just for your idea, and later you can amend it. And remember, put the reader first. Who is your potential reader? This is especially those are like to publish articles. You are writing the articles. Make sure you put your readers, what you can convey the message, what you can give to the readers. Then your write-up will be more interesting. Your write-up will be more what you call is ground public orientated, and your more researcher will be interested on your work, right? Now, develop the research plan and be realistic. If let's say you want to write you want to complete your thesis, you have about 12 weeks or 14 weeks. Please do plan with your research. Please do plan and make sure you have, okay, first week what, second week what you're going to do, in 2 days what you're going to do, or you have 2 semesters, you have 6 semesters, those are postgraduate. So you have to know what you have to do within that time frame. Planning and be realistic. What I mean by be realistic and must be fit to yourself. For example, when I have my personal experience, I like to share my personal experience again. Before I proceed for my data collection, I know that I'm going to use this other method. I'm very clear. What I did is I developed my hypothetical data. What is the definition of hypothetical data? Is you create a fake data, and you try to, I take the fake data, I try to run the analysis so that I can get the idea, and I go for it. I try to run, and I know, okay, this is the way I'm going to run. If my questionnaire, this is the way I'm going to run. Okay, I'm very sure. I got my questionnaire, I got my data, I start key in everything, and I start run. I thought that I can finish it within 1 day, or I plan, okay, within 3 days I can complete the entire analysis. When I got the actual data, I need about 3 weeks to complete the analysis, 3 weeks to 1 month. Why? Because the data is not, it's a very raw data. I need to clean it. I need to, sometimes I need to normalize the data. I have to remove the extreme variables. I need to remove unwanted things. Some are a straight lining method. So many things I have to do. I have to replace the missing variables. So that's why I say that I have to realistic to my what is my capacity and what is my capable. I'm capable of. I have to know that. It might be your friend is very good in analysis. They might be finished completed in 1 week, but you needed 2 weeks. It's okay. It's completely fine. And set your plan according to your own capacity. That will not embarrass yourself. What will happen is when you said, okay, 1 week I need to finish my literature review. Second week I need to finish my methodology. When you start read and read, you realize that when you start reading in for 1 week, entire week, you're not even able to complete the readings. That means definitely you need much longer time frame. That's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong on it. So please be fair with yourself. All right. Next one. 13. Diurnal or nocturnal. What does it mean? Okay, animal can be divided by two categories. One is the diurnal or nocturnal. That means the animal that active in daytime, the animal that active in nighttime. Like daytime is we all human beings supposed to be diurnal, nocturnal like all some rat, snakes, and all that nocturnal animal. All right, now it's again ask yourself. Myself is I'm very active at the night. Daytime, quite hard for me. Night, yes, I think that my brain can think very good and all that. This is what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm not going to encourage you which one is better. It's up to you. But make sure you work on your the time that you're comfortable. If you like to work in daytime with the music, please go on. If you are nighttime persons, please work on with that. No issue. All right. But what is very important is you have to have the routine. And please do identify yourself. Do identify yourself where you are comfortable to work. Right. The most important is optimize with mental peak hours. What does it mean? Okay, this is very important. Let's say you're going to start your write up in the morning. Okay, avoid digital distraction. This is something that very important clue I'm going to give all my students, all the postgraduate. Morning, you're going to start with your write up. Wake up, do your all your morning things and all that. You go walking and all that. Okay, done. Do not open your WhatsApp. Do not go to your Telegram. Do not go for your Twitter, Facebook, email. No, nothing. Nothing is inside in your mind. Your mind is 100% fresh. What do you go? Open up your laptop, work with your thesis for 2 hours or 3 hours morning. Do not have any distraction because when you open your Facebook, you see your friend brought a new house, or friend got a new girlfriend. You went for this movie. They got this. That is first they take away your concentration. Another friend said, I had a good traveling to this country, and another news is coming out. Due to the COVID, someone passed away. Some what do you call? Someone have a good issues. Someone have a positive news. Someone have negative news. This all take your concentration slowly. This is what we call digital distraction. So to have that, to have your mental peak hours, top mental peak hours, this is really effective for me, and most of the researchers are doing this. When you start your day, do not go for anything. Do not go for online. No, yeah, no, what do you call? No email checking, no WhatsApp checking, no Telegram, no Twitter, no nothing. Start writing. What you do is you prepare everything. At least you work for 2 hours. After that, even you check whatever news that will not disturb, because your initial concentration, your initial mental strength, mental energy, you already spend for your thesis. So after you checking, you come back, you have even more better idea. And most important, those are writing. Remember, before you close your day, before your close day, let's say I already finished with my writing, I'm going to my bed. Okay, I'm going to my bed. I'm going to sleep. What I have to do is I have to plan what I read. Okay, what I'm going to write on tomorrow. Put that in your mind before go to your bed. That will make sure that when you wake up on tomorrow morning, you are already mentally you are prepared to write something. That's why you come in, just make a writing. When you wake up with that, we have a good idea, just put it there in your papers, or you just type in. Regard whatever is okay, whatever grammatical mistakes, whatever punctuation mistakes, it's okay. Factual wrong, it's okay. Just put it. It's your idea. Will help you to speed up and expedite your write up. And 15 tips number 15 is very important, where your format must be improved in terms of readability. Don't always keep the table and table. If sometimes you can give a wonderful graphic, wonderful graph chart and all that, please go for it. Okay, that will improve the quality of your thesis. Definitely you can have like spider web. Nowadays people are interested to look at a spider web. Sometimes you can even do a chart, a graph, two graphs joined together. Sometimes you can even do the what they call we call it a double graph, double graphs joined together. You can do it something like that. Well, advanced, sometimes you can do advanced graph. Go ahead, try to have it there, so that you can attract the readers to read vividly. And tips number 16, reference, try to use a latest format. Okay, this is very simple. You are going to use what format? APA format, MLA format, Harvard, even Chicago, I don't mind. Okay, you can use any format, but try to use a latest format. Now, for example, APA 6th edition, this is what people are using so far now, but already have a 7th edition. Go and check it out. What is a 7th edition? And sometimes people using some software for citation. And personally, I will not recommend students to go for it because of what? In early stage you have to go for manual citation. Why? So that you can learn what is the proper way to cite, proper way to write the citation. You should know where to italic, where not to be italic, where supposed to use bracket, where not to be supposed to use bracket or parenthesis. You will know everything, then you can use the software. If the software does make a mistake, you can rectify it. Otherwise you just blindly follow it, and you will end up with so many mistakes in your reference list. Okay. Okay, tips number 17. Yes, British English or American English, very simple. If I ask you, color is CLOR or CLOUR, or organize is a Z, or you're going to use organize as a Z or S, IZE or ISE. So please be consistent. If you want to use British English, please be consistent. All must be British English. If you want to use American English, all must be American English. The pronunciation and spelling must be, the spelling especially must be American, or must be British. And again, sometimes institution they do recommend go for British or go for American. So please be aware on that. Sometimes I do notice some students they have halfway British, halfway English, and all that. This will be tarnish your quality of your work. So this will be very particular. Your citation is very important. These kind of minor things will improve the quality of your research. Tips number 18, set up note card. What is note card means? Whenever you read something, try to collect the information. You see, now I'm reading, now I'm developing my proposal. I'm reading something that which I knew it might be useful for me during my result and discussion, or result during my recommendation, or during my literature review. But I'm not going to use it now. So I just know the things I already read it. I can't what you call put it aside. I need to keep that information in proper order so that when I need it, I can go and find it immediately. So you have so many softwares, so many what they call um, websites, or some plugins and all that to support you. I'd like to recommend. I'd like to share. I'm not going to be recommend. I'm not going to be ambassador for anything. I'm not patronize anything. But this is something free in most of the laptops, which is OneNote. If you really check OneNote, this is something like, okay, you open a PDF, PDF, sorry, OneNote. No, you can convert to PDF later, but not now. Then you're going to make it what? Okay, your own notes. Okay, just make it as a PhD thesis. You can make it FYP or final year project or whatever, and you can make it whatever things. Okay, when I read that, okay, I know that the NK report is useful for chapter one. So I open it a subtopic here. I can put it NK report for 2011, and I need to know about Malaysians income. So whatever information I got it, I just put it here. I just like I know that these statistics might be useful for me. When I read whatever articles, I just crop, I put it here, and I put it wherever it's relevant. If I go to the chapter three, I don't have anything. Yeah, chapter two, I just think that okay, this is something about humans' knowledge, or a farmer's knowledge, or students' knowledge. So I found that this is something important in the article. Then I just put it there with the citation. And I know that later I no need to go and find for the article. I just can easily, I can simply get it from the citation here. I have the citation here. I know where I get this article. So when you read, you just can crop it and put it here. Crop it, put it here. OneNote is very comfortable, and this is a free software that available in all Microsoft, those are having a Microsoft window, but I'm not sure those are using Apple product. You might have a similar products like this. Okay, this is, I didn't I like to say that do something like this. You no need to go and search back the information. You keep on reading and collect it, so you organize your information. It would be really useful for you when you do the writing. All right, now tips number 19: use simple words and shorter sentences. Don't use a long and sentences. Sometimes I can see that one paragraph, one sentence. Oh, I tell you that this is something like I can't read it. I don't know where I'm started now. You put a comma and comma and comma, continue, finish one paragraph, one sentence, one paragraph. He's a top-notch guy. But I would not like to recommend that, because sometimes you will be lost the concentration and the interest from the readers. All right. Tips number 20: use jargon only when necessary. Don't use jargons or terms that not familiar to the industries. Keep on using the terms and all that, especially in academic journals. When you put it in a published articles, that's quite different. When in thesis, try to use it in very academic terms and something like appropriate terms. That is something very useful. um, 21 tips number 21: grammar checking. All right. When you write, you might make some mistakes. Please set your word properly, whether you want American English, British English. Right now they do have some other softwares or plugins that you can install in your Microsoft Word, so that when you type, you make any mistake. For example, I would like to say that is, if you say that I yesterday, I would like to say that, okay, yesterday the patient will come to the will came the patient. I said yesterday the patient came to the hospital. Suppose we came to the hospital. I put no, I put it very simple. Yesterday the patient. How am I going to put it? Very simple sentence. Why make it very complicated? Mm, well, yesterday the students, uh, yesterday students, I want to make it a wrong statement. I'm very thinking of that. Okay, yesterday students will be in universities. That's terrible, terribly wrong. Okay, yesterday's the students was or were in the universities. So I make it will be. If I have the plugins, something like Grammarly, some others software, grammar software, that instead of were or was, I use will be, which is future tense. So it can help you to check and rectify it immediately. That's another beautiful part. Okay, and it will help you to check a lot of grammar things. Please check for it. For I think Grammarly. One more thing is a Ginger. I think something like that. Please do check for it. You can use it. That's a free software. They have until free, what they call free plugin, until what level? Some certain level they have give you free. After that, you're required to pay. So you can always test it there, which is free software. And past tense and future tense. This must be very clear. Those are preparing your proposal. Proposal must be future tense. I will collect the data. The data will be analyzed. The sample will be collected. Will be, everything is a future. When you're writing your thesis, which is you're writing a report, you're reporting, which is past incidents or past occasion. So you should be everything. It should be on the past tense, not should be in a future tense. Right? Be clear on that. That is your tips number 23, sorry, 22. The last tips, which is very important, tips 23, is relationship with your supervisor. All right, I'd like to stress here, I'm a fortunate and I'm really glad to have a wonderful supervisor for me in my for my masters and my PhD. All right, but I can see that many of my friends, they have really tough, where they have a very poor communication. Sometimes supervisors is not around and all that. So please develop a good relationship with your supervisor. Have a frequent meetup. Be schedule your meetings. Discuss your matters early, and you know that end of the day your supervisor going to be endorse your thesis. So make sure you produce your work early. Get endorsement. Get idea from them. Always have a discussion. So this, mostly the supervisors will be happy to discuss with you the ideas and all that. and whatever the conflicts and even the disagreement and all that, put it in the right manner so that you can progress forward, you can speed up your work. That is the fundamental, that is the most crucial, and make your life make your research and your students life more beautiful. Right, with that I'd like to thank you. That's my point. Right now, I'd like to open for the questions. Whoever have questions, you can post your questions in comments. I'd like to address one by one. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time, sir, and sharing all the information. We will now begin the Q&A session. So for the participants, if you have any questions, please just post them in the comments and we will make sure to answer you. We do have one question from Iba Abdul Rauf. She asked if a research title's objective is examining the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. How can she construct the objectives which is fitting to the SMART criteria?
Okay, if a research titles objective, relationship with the independent dependent. Okay, this is quite common. Well, if you want to test a relationship between Abdul Rauf, right, Iba Abdul Rauf, well, you want to test the relationship between independent and dependent. First of all, you need to know what types of data, whether you're independent and dependent is what you call, it's continuous or categorical. And you should know, this is very very general, that's why I'm trying to answer in general manner. If I know really what is your topics, then what is your objective, then I can advise you very specifically. First, you have to know what kind of data that you're going to use. For example, if you are going for multiple linear regression, you should know that you have independent variable more than one. Otherwise we go for simple linear. If you can go for more than one independent variable, for example, I like to say that my income, I would like to test the impact on the income based on the age, based on the working experience, based on my level of position. See, experience, age, and level of positions are independent. The salary are dependent. So for this, we are like to use for multiple linear regression. If I like to measure, just I like to measure the relationship only between age and the health level. So that is only two things, only two continuous. I might use uh, Pearson correlation test to measure it. So we can always go for different analysis based on the, your objective must be set based on your title and your area. Then you should know what are the factors or variable that you're going to take into measure. I hope I answered Abdul Rawaf.
Hopefully, yeah, she will understand. We will move on to the next question, which is what is the relationship between research question, research objective, and problem statement, and its significance or its importance for a good research?
Okay. They ask for a problem statement. They're asking about research question, research objective. Am I right, Harim?
Yes, sir. The relationship and its importance.
Okay. If you ask me important, it is crucial, really crucial. Without that, you can't have your thesis. Well, problem statement will let you know, will justify why your research is needed, why you need to do the research. What is the purpose of research? Remember, don't do the research for sake of doing the research to solve some problems, to research to identify some problems in the sectors. That's very important. So what is very important now is you have to measure. The second one is the relationship between research questions and research objective. Research question is help you to ask a question from the problem statement you try to write, and research question will help you to drive research objective. I give you very simple. My research objective is to, okay, I give you very simple research objective, to identify the level of knowledge level about COVID infection or COVID infection. Yeah, to identify the level of the knowledge level on the COVID pandemic. That's my objective. So my question should be, that's why the question should be period to the objective. The question is, what is the knowledge level on the COVID-19 pandemic? So that is your research question. The question after your research question immediately will come objective. The research question will reflect the means the objective will reflect the research question. Okay, so that's why it should be interrelated and all must be very crucial. Try to make it quite simple so that you can achieve it.
All right, we'll thank you for that. We'll move on to the next question, which is, as majority of the participants are undergraduate FYP students, they would like to know which method of research analysis is more appropriate, the SPSS or the SMART analysis.
Okay, which software is appropriate? Is it
Yes, sir.
SPSS or Smart PLS?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Please be in take note. Is this this software is just a tool for you. All right. Like I can use any calculator. Two plus two is every calculator will give me a four. Each part of the I don't mind whether you're buying $2 million calculator or two ringgit calculator will give you the same answer. But now SPSS will give you some sort of analysis. Smart PLS is give you help you to go for structure equation modeling a little bit advanced and all that. Normally, for undergraduate final year project, they will go for analysis such as t-test, ANOVA, ANCOVA, MANCOVA, even correlation, Pearson correlation, or you go for logic analysis and all that. All these can be do it in SPSS. So for undergraduate level, SPSS is sufficient. But for some universities, if they are here, some undergraduate students, those are working in some institute where universities they are not offering SPSS, they're giving Mintep, they give you SASAS, they give you um, other softwares, even our language. It's absolutely fine, no issues. Just the way of running the analysis, execute the analysis is the different. Rest of it all same. Don't worry. The result, the way interpreting all same, just the way of running. But since I'm quite comfortable and my favorite is SPSS. I like to say SPSS. Smart PLS is slightly different. That's for structure equation modeling. You can do it for the analysis, but it's quite what you call loading. SPSS is good enough for undergraduate, and you can have a lot of resource materials as well for SPSS. Thank you, Derek.
Okay.
Next one.
Okay. So, in your tips, the 23 tips that you mentioned, one of them was don't list and argue. Is it applicable for literature review? And if I agree with the past literature, the past research, does it count as an argument?
Okay, come again. They say that whether in the literature review you can. They said what in the literature review they
If I
can't.
agree with the past researches that I'm mentioning in the research review, does it still count as an argument? Because one of your tips
Um,
was don't list and argue.
to have a strong literature review, do
Okay.
list and make okay. Sometime. Okay, this has happened. Even myself, I did it. I only have a three variable. I had a three variable, but the literature I went for it is not mistaken 120 literatures. For these three variable, I listed three variable, but my variable is three, but my reference is about 120 or 150. I'm not sure, and I referred that much of journal to support for this. And that is a compressed table that I produce for to argue the variable. But underneath, definitely I have to argue. I argue so that it show that how strong is my literature knowledge and how strong I went through and all that. See, because why you need to? That's why your thesis must be able to. It doesn't mean your arguments. You need to have a lot of long argue. You can have what you call within a few paragraph. You can include most of the what you call scholars, what they say, what the contradict people, other counterpart, other people say, what the different idea given by another parties. You can even argue that in single paragraph. That makes your literature review really top notch class. Okay.
And then one last question would be, do you know or would you like to share the common mistakes that student makes um, while choosing their sampling techniques, or any recommendations that you want to make for the students?
Sure. Sampling technique, the first things the students do is they don't know precisely, they don't know what's the population and unit of analysis. They will be doing that mistake and they're trying to go for convenient. sampling. Means they're trying to collect as easy as possible. Create online, just get information from anyone they have. Don't do that. Make sure you clear with what sampling that you're going to. Who is your respondent? Unit of analysis. What is the best method? Well, you're going for online survey. I'm absolutely agree. I'm not going to be disagree with that. But I do encourage go for personal interview. First, go for a sit down with your potential respondents, spend some times, and it's give what you call talk to your respondents, get some idea, so that you will be some you will be get some additional idea. So that's very important. Respondents sometimes they know very clear, but the biggest mistake students are going to do now. I know it's a pandemic; they're not going to go out. They cannot approach a respondent. They go everything on online, but they say that they don't have chance to meet the respondent. You need to understand your field. You need to understand what is your respondents need to are doing. You can be an undergraduate. You are very good, excellent students, university students. You can be in a different what you call part of the world. But if you are work with, I'm working with Indonesian market, Indonesian small farmers. I'm working with Iranian small farmers. But I never even talked to one single person over there. I'm from here. I'm writing everything about them based on my survey. I'm absolutely wrong side of the world. As a researcher, you should understand what is the ground. Sometimes they can give you better insight. So that's why even you can collect 200 samples, 300 samples, 600 samples, no problem. At least spend some time, sit, go for a virtual meeting now. Nowadays, virtual meeting is possible. Even what you call WhatsApp call is very cheap, very convenient. Go for it. Understand your respondent much more better. And even though if you understand your respondent better, you make sure that your sampling become more appropriate for your study.
And just one last question. Um, how to determine if our research is primary data or secondary data? Are there key pointers that can help us identify which one can be secondary or which can be primary?
Well, that's definitely is based on your topic, already, whether you're going to work with primary data or secondary data. Please be clear what is primary data means. Primary data means you collect the information for your own research. Secondary data means something the data was collected from other people, collected by other people for different purpose. If let's say I'm taking the data about Malaysian age or Malaysian's income from Department of Statistics, that's going to be secondary data. I'm going to collect the rainfall statistics from Department of what they call nature department or meteorological departments. They are going to get it from them. That is already going to be secondary data. So your objective will justify it, or your title will justify you are going to work on the primary data or secondary data. If let's say I'm going to get from the commodity price for the past 30 years with the and global what you call global temperature for a particular country, I'm going to run a test on that. So that's all going to be secondary data. If I like to work on the primary data, means I like to work in a primary situation, it's going to be the data. If you don't have the data, you're going to collect it, means it's a primary data. Remember, even though you are working with the primary data, your thesis definitely will have a secondary data. You're going to have a collect secondary data to support your studies. Your literature reviews and your introduction, you needed secondary data.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to ask the participants if they have any more questions. If not, I would like to thank you, sir, for your time. We really appreciate, and you shared some very key information. For my intake, I know that we have our chapter 1, 2, 3. We're submitting in about 10 days, so we will use that information. So thank you for that. For the participants, we have shared a link, a feedback form. You can fill that up, and you will receive an e-certificate for attending our webinar. Thank you for your time and participation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad to join, and thank you, Terem, for wonderful MC, and you conduct the event very well. And I'd like to appreciate APU for the opportunity that given to me and invite me to give a bit of sharings. Right. Wish you all the best and see you all. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Take care.